Hello everyone. Welcome back to yet another interesting video on learning BA techniques with examples. My name is Fatima Suhair and I work as a business analyst at Adaptive US. In last week's video, I explained how to model a use case diagram. If you have not watched it yet, make sure you do that. In today's video, I will be taking you through data flow diagram. Just like the name says, a data flow diagram focuses on data and portrays the transformation of data. It depicts the inputs, that is, where the data comes from, outputs, how the input data gets converted into output data by means of a process or calculation, and whether the output results are stored or utilized by another activity, etc. So I would be using Adaptive's very own system called GRC Perfect to depict the data flow diagram. Now just to brief you, GRC Perfect is a governance, risk and compliance management system developed for the IT and IT-enabled services domain. The primary objective of GRC Perfect is to help companies implement governance, quality and information security management systems in an integrated manner. It has various features, one of which is to plan and track projects and programs using standards such as CMMI, ISO 9001, ISO 27001, etc. Now through this example, let us try to understand how the data flows and gets transformed in the project schedule management module of GRC Perfect. When we talk about data flow diagrams, there are multiple notations, such as Jordan and Code, Jordan and DeMarco, Kane and Sorsen, etc. So today I will be using Jordan and Code notation. So let's get started. The tool I'm going to use today is called Lucidchart, which has a free online version. Okay, so let's start. What I'm going to show you now is how a user will search for a schedule by means of a search criteria. So let me draw the external entity. So what is an external entity? An external entity is a person, an organization, an automated system, or any device capable of producing data or receiving data. It can be a source of information or a sink. What is a sink? A sink is a receiver of information. So externals are represented in the form of rectangles, just like the one I have shown here. Now let me name this external entity a user. I will also draw one more external entity and show you. And I will call this project manager. Alright. So now let me draw a data process. Data processes are represented in the form of a circle. Now, as you are aware, processes should have at least one input and one output. I will call this process search for schedule. Okay, so let me draw a link between the user and the data process. Okay, I can directly do that. And the information that the user will be passing on to this is called, I'll call that search criteria. Okay. Now let me draw a data store. So what is a data store? A data store is a collection of data related to schedules where data may be read repeatedly and stored for further use. So each data store must have at least one data flow going to it or coming out of it. Let me call this data store schedule. As you can see, it can be represented in the form of two parallel lines or as an open-ended rectangle. So from the data store, once the search for schedule is done, we can fetch a schedule list. That is a list of schedules which will meet the criteria given by the user. So in short, what I have drawn here is something like this. The user shown in the diagram acts as a source of information and provides the search criteria. The data process, search for schedule, then fetches the data from the data store called schedule and returns it to the user. The final diagram would look like this. So you can see multiple data processes, multiple sources. User is a source, project manager is a source. We have processes like viewing schedule, search for schedule, delete schedule, and there's a data store called schedule. It's a data store called risk database, and so on. So in short, DFTs are relatively simple to understand, and it is a great way to illustrate interfaces, connections to other systems, etc. They are simple, effective, and easily understood by people even from non-technical backgrounds. However, it doesn't illustrate the sequence of activities, and this can become increasingly complex for large-scale systems. Hope this video gave you some insights into data flow diagrams. There are many more modeling techniques which can depict a good amount of the system requirements graphically. In the upcoming video, I will take you through class diagrams, which is yet another important tool for every business analyst to know. So stay tuned and thank you for watching.